Hi, I'm Vito, and today I'm going to be giving you a detailed walkthrough of my live rack. This is the rig I bring to shows, and if you rent a PA from Vito Sound, this is part of the full package. It contains an X32 rack and a couple of wireless microphones. It's incredibly compact and allows me to roll up and quickly be set up while taking up very little floor space. I'll take you through piece by piece and show you how it's all connected, and I'll explain to you some of the upgrades I'm looking at for the future. I'll put some links in the description below, and just know that they are affiliate links, so if you buy something through them, it'll support the channel at no extra cost to you. Right off the bat, let's take a look at the case. This is the Gator GRR8L. It's an 8-space rolling rack case built from molded polyethylene, so it's lightweight, but still very durable. The nice thing about this model is that it has built-in wheels and a retractable handle. So it's really easy to move. And I usually just roll this thing right up side stage. I'll hide it behind a sub, or sometimes it'll live beside the drummer, depending on the setup. Let's open it up. Everything currently fits into this 8U space, but I may upgrade in the future to a larger rack, depending on what we got going on. At the top of the rack, and at the top of any rack, honestly, is the Furman. This is the Furman M8DX power conditioner. It has 8 outlets on the back and 1 service plug on the front here. It's providing surge protection, which is really important when you're plugging into different venues because you don't know what kind of power you're getting depending where you are. And really conveniently, it's one switch to turn on the whole rack. This model in particular has an LED voltmeter so you can see the incoming voltage, as well as a couple of pull-out lights with a dimmer, which is pretty handy if you're working in a dark area. I know it's a glorified power bar, but ain't she purty? Next, we'll jump to the heart of the rack, the Behringer S32 rack. This thing is a workhorse. It's the same thing as a full-sized X32 console, but it's shrunk down to a 3U rack space. And while the front does have some control, which is nice if there is a panic situation, I'm really not touching it. I am controlling everything from my tablet using an app called Mixing Station, which is an incredible app. It's able to control like a dozen different mixers. So you're able to move your workflow from an X32 over to an Allen and Heath, over to a Soundcraft. If you know how it works on one mixer, you're gonna be able to use it on multiple different mixers. I'm gonna be making a full video on Mixing Station, so I won't dive too deep into it right now, but just know that you're able to make custom fader banks. You're able to put mute groups wherever you want. I have a tap tempo down here right now just so that I can tap while the band changes songs. I can mute the effects with a single tap of my finger so that when they want to talk between tunes, there's no delay on it. The Mixing Station app is by far superior over the X32, native X32 app, in my opinion. And I think it's a really valuable tool to live engineers. So if you're interested in seeing the full video I'm going to make on it, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. As for the mixer, the back of this thing has 16 XLR ins with built-in mic pre's. It has 6 1/4-inch line ins, 8 XLR outputs, and 6 1/4-inch line outputs. But I bring my S32 Stagebox and connect it using a shielded Cat5 cable with an EtherCON connector. This is a single cable, lightweight, and no need to haul around a large analog snake. The S32 provides 32 XLR inputs with built-in mic pre's and 16 XLR outputs. You can only use 32 mic pre's at a time with the console, so I'll split things up between the mixer and the Stagebox. If this is stage right, I'll put the Stagebox stage left. If this is beside the drummer, I'll toss this thing under the front of the stage. I also keep a USB key here in the front of the X32 rack, which allows me 2-track playback or recording. So I'll play pre-show or break music from music I keep stored on here, or I could record 2-track of the event. If you're gonna do this, in your X32 or M32 for that matter, any version of this console, it needs to be maximum 32 gigs for the USB key, and it's going to have to be formatted FAT32. And the playback files need to be WAV files, and they need to match the sample rate that your console is set to, which in my case here is 48,000 hertz. All right, let's move on to the microphones. Here I've got two Shure QLXD wireless receivers. I chose these because they have excellent performance and reliable sound. It's the same as the ULX series, but at about half the price. The main drawback compared to the ULX series is that you cannot cascade the antennas and you can't cascade the network. Right now, because I only have two, the antenna limitation is sort of a non-issue. I just have 4 antennas on the front panel. The other main difference between the ULX and the QLX series is that the QLX only comes in single channel units that take up half of a rack space, whereas the ULX comes in dual and quad receivers as well. So you could have 4 channels in a single rack space, which is awesome, but I do kind of like the flexibility of this because I could rent out a single microphone, or I could put one at a wedding ceremony and the other one at the reception for that wedding. They don't need to be tied together. As for the networking, in the back of my rack, I've got a network switch and it's all just connected to the switch. I do plan on adding 2 additional QLXD receivers, which would go here. And then I would put the Shure UA844 Plus antenna distribution unit, which would go here. And all 4 of them would share that distribution for a pair of paddle antennas, the Shure UA874 active directional antennas, which would provide more range for the microphones and a better signal. Let's move down here to the drawer. This is the Gator GRW DRW2 2U rack drawer. And I got it with the cubed foam, which I ripped some out to put microphones in. And I have planned 2 additional spaces here. The antennas live in here. So do the mic clips and some batteries. I will say that this thing did barely fit in the rack. It seemed to be a little short on the width. I don't know if that's a problem with all of them or just this one. I fought with it and I did manage to get it in, but just so you know. You can put a lock on the front of this thing, which I haven't done because I can actually lock the case itself. And there's 2 punch outs in the back. So if you want, you can run cables through to a unit in the drawer. Let's say you could house a switch in the drawer, for example, and run your cables in through there. What's more important than the drawer is its contents. So let's pull out one of these microphones and I'll show you how it connects to the receiver. First off, these microphones are really well built, solid metal construction. I love how smooth they are. Switch right on the front. You turn it on. There's a readout of the battery level and what frequency you're on. So what you're going to want to do on the receiver is hit the menu button and then enter to scan. It'll take a few seconds, find an available frequency, and then you just press the sync button and you line up this little area here with the infrared transmitter on the rack-mounted receiver, and that quickly it's synced. So now if we talk into this microphone, you'll see the audio is going to modulate here. That is the quick and simple method of scanning a frequency and syncing a microphone. However, if you want to get a little more in depth with the wireless, what I typically do is I'll plug my laptop into the network and I'll run a scan in Wireless Workbench, which allows me to see the whole RF environment that my mics are actually interacting with. And I can create backup frequencies or assign frequencies for people coming with other wireless devices, like an opening act or a guest violin player with a wireless pack, a DJ with a wireless microphone, or maybe even the house technicians have a couple wireless in the venue and they don't care too much to take care of it. You never know. It's happened more than once. Anyway, it's not fully necessary if you have 1 or 2 wireless mics, but it's a really useful tool if you're on a larger setup or have a lot of wireless to deal with. So I'm going to do an in-depth video of Wireless Workbench. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to see that when it comes out. But right now, I'll just show you what it looks like when I do a scan. So all it really takes is plugging my laptop into the network using an Ethernet cable that I leave attached to the switch and just tucked away so that when I open up the case, I could just set my laptop on top, plug it right in, and open up Workbench. Up here you can see Workbench has detected the 2 wireless receivers. So we're going to put them into our frequency coordination and run a scan. Usually I'll do a couple of additional things like excluding some TV channel bands or adding on backup frequencies, but I'm just going to show you the very basic use here. Great, now that the scan is complete, we could tell it to assign some available frequencies to our microphones by hitting calculate. Then we can hit assign and deploy. And that's it. With a couple of clicks, we've got our RF environment visually laid out for us. We've assigned some frequencies to our microphones here. We do, however, still need to sync the transmitter to the receiver. So we turn that on, hit sync, and line it up. And we're good to go on that one. I'll sync the other one. Over in the monitor tab, you can monitor the RF or the audio signal. You could even adjust the gain on a receiver. And of course, you'll see if it's off. You can also use Wireless Workbench on mobile, but it's far less extensive. You can't see a scan. You can't assign backup frequencies, but you can control the front panel basically of the receiver. And it allows you to see the RF and the audio signal coming in. All right, I put away the laptop and tablet, and I'm going to spin this thing around so you can see the back of it. In the back, I've got everything connected, of course, to the firmament up top. The wireless mics run with an XLR out to the mixer. There's a BNC cable attaching the antenna line here to the front so that I can connect it at the front instead of in the back. And the X32, as well as the microphones, it's all plugged into this switch here. The switch is Velcroed down. This is a TP-Link 16-port gigabit switch that I put in here. And yes, 16 ports is overkill for what I'm doing here, but I was using this in the studio and then I upgraded to a PoE switch in the studio, so I put this one to work in the rack. I may eventually upgrade to a rack-mounted switch, but I don't even have the room in this rack, and I already had it laying around, so it's Velcroed down, and it hasn't really gone anywhere at all. It's pretty solid. And then we've got this little travel router. This is the GL.iNet GL SFT 1200. And this thing is great. I carry it around to every gig in my work kit. It's compact and very powerful. I've never lost signal to it once. It has 2 LAN ports and a WAN port in the back, and you can configure the WAN port as a LAN with just a single click. It can work as a repeater. You could plug your phone in and share its network over the Wi-Fi. And it's so compact. It's really versatile. It fits neatly right in there when I'm done with it. Really handy piece of gear for live work. And that's a look at my live rack setup. Everything from the mixer to the mics, the drawer with the foam, the network switch, the router, and how I use it all. It's all designed to be fast, organized, reliable, and take up minimal floor space. If you're interested in a deep dive on Mixing Station or Wireless Workbench, I've got some videos coming soon, so hit subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.